Hi everybody. I wanted to show everyone my process for making shakes. It's actually from a program called WildFit. They call it an Alkagizer. I call it a shake or a green smoothie. It is just something that kind of is an easy way to get a lot of vegetables and greens into your body. I have one every morning. It's a good way to just kind of get it out of the way and have something that you can go back to. Also right now, the grocery stores are pretty full on produce. Seems like everyone's going after the non-produce items, the cereals and the grains and things like that. So you shouldn't have really too much trouble finding these ingredients even today. And also you can freeze them, a lot of the greens, after you wash them and chop them, so that you don't have to go shopping every other day for this. Okay, so some of the ingredients that I use. So I always start with spinach. That's a green that's in every smoothie for me. And then I always put in 2 greens at least, and the other one can just kind of rotate. This is Bok Choy. You can also use Kale and Chard, and there's romaine lettuce and all kinds of other things you can use. Celery, cucumber, ginger, which is good for you, and avocado. Avocado is very important. This is what makes it smooth in the smoothie. Without that, you kind of run into problems. Also add some cinnamon, some Ceylon cinnamon. That's a kind of cinnamon that you can add a lot and not have any kind of bad effects. I add a little B complex, B vitamins, not required. And then I also add some protein to the mix. This one is a vanilla flavor, so this is where any sweetness comes from. If you don't want to do protein with a little sweet, and this might be a little too bland for you, you can add in bananas and apples and other fruits, but you want to start with this base. I got a salad spinner. Again, not a requirement, but it does make it easier to wash the greens. The blender is very important. A Blendtec or a Vitamix. I have a Vitamix, one of the cheaper models. They're still kind of expensive, but it's really, you're going to get that smooth smoothie if you have a Vitamix or a Blendtec. Everything else just doesn't quite get the consistency. I tried some of the Ninjas and things like that, but also something to put your shake in, the leftover, just to keep it cold, some kind of thermos. And then at the end, we're going to add some ice and some water. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the ends of the spinach here and wash the spinach. Okay, so I've washed the spinach and spun it with the salad spinner. Now we're going to fill up the blender about halfway with the spinach here. You don't want to press it down too much because it can cause issues with the blade spinning. And then you can save the leftover spinach in a freezer bag and freeze it. You can get a couple or 3 bundles of the fresh bulk spinach and go ahead and clean that and dry it a little bit, and then put it in the freezer bag and store it in the freezer. And then for future shakes, you can just pull it out of there and use it for that. Okay, so next I'll get the Bok Choy ready. Okay, so now we have I cut and washed the Bok Choy. I'm going to take some of the stalks, some of the greens, kind of get a mix in here of the various things. So we're getting up a little higher. Just put a couple of these, and again, you can save the leftovers and freeze them. Okay. All right. So next is the celery. So you want about 3 stalks. Just cut off the ends, and then we're going to, you can also cut off the tips here if they're looking a little dry. And then we'll go ahead and clean those real quick. All right, so now that we have these, cut them into smaller segments here. And we're going to put that in here. So now we have the 3 stalks of celery. We have the cucumber. Don't need all too much cucumber here. So cut off a little piece, and then just cut off a few slices here, mostly just okay. Sorry, the video cut out there for a second. So I just added the cucumber, and also since then have added the avocado. So just slicing the avocado in half, going to make sure it's a ripe avocado, so it should give a little bit when you press into it, and you take out the pit, of course. Also the ginger, so just shaving off the outside of the ginger and putting that in there, and added some cinnamon, a scoop and a half of the protein powder, as well as the some drops of the B complex vitamin, and now let's see, we'll just add our ice. So, a couple scoops of ice here. Pretty high, and then we're going to fill it up with water until about a third or so of the way up. So if you don't have enough water, it may cause the blades to spin and not catch anything. If you have too much water, it can be a little sloshy. So so you can see here, got the water. And then we'll come back. All right, so now my assistant Violet will be able to help. Put it on the blender. Put the lid on, make sure the lid's on pretty tight. You want to start at the low setting. Hold on a second. You start at the low setting, and then we'll gradually turn it up to full speed, and we're going to let it run for about 20 to 30 seconds. So it is a little while. It is pretty loud, so you should plug your ears or have, or maybe potentially leave the area. So Violet's going to plug her ears after she starts it here. So go ahead. Alright, so we're going to let it get to the ice before we turn it up. So now we have our shake. Go ahead and show you. So this has pretty good consistency, maybe a little too much water here. You can see that it's nice and smooth, no chunks. That's where the Vitamix or Blendtec really comes in handy to make a nice smooth shake for you. Okay, and that's all.